Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about Mazda yet again because I was wrong, and I am not too proud to admit that I was wrong. I made a video talking about Mazda's sales decline because they did have a pretty rough year in 2022 because, well, they were negative that year in terms of their sales figures. But I talked about their market position as well in that video, and, well, things have drastically changed in the first quarter of 2023, and so we need to talk about Mazda's new market position and basically how wrong I was about Mazda because, well, yeah, let's just get into it. But actually, before we get into it, a huge shout out and thank you to, of course, Tim Daly Mazda here in Southtown because I'm on their lot filming this video. So if you want to be a part of what Mazda is doing currently, come purchase a Mazda from Tim Daly Mazda. Let's get into it. And before we dive into this video, I do want to mention, like, I know a bunch of people are going to be like, oh, Ben got paid off by Mazda, that's why he's making this video. Not true whatsoever. Mazda hasn't even contacted me about the first video. I don't even know if they have seen it, frankly. I'm making this video because I want to make sure that this channel covers not only, like, the negative things that happen in the automotive industry, but also the positive things, like today's video. So, yeah, just to the people that might comment that. Now, I'm sitting in this, not Mazda filming this video, which is kind of interesting, but the reason I'm sitting in this car, not outside, is because it's extremely windy. I mean, you guys can see the flag up there. It is just crazy, so audio would be horrible. Anyways, I want to quickly show Mazda's current lineup to help explain what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. So we've got the CX-30 here, which is like their entry-level crossover. Over here, we got the CX-50, which is kind of like their middle-of-the-line luxury crossover, off-roady crossover. I mean, that one's a Meridian edition, which is really cool. It's got off-road stuff. And then you got the CX-5, which is similar in size to the CX-50, which is also kind of like their middle-of-the-line crossover, basically. And I'm trying to find a Mazda 3. I don't know if they have any. I think they might be sold out, which, yeah, that's a big part of this video. A lot of Mazdas are now selling out, which is crazy. I don't think they have a single. Oh, we got some CX-9s. So this is the CX-9, Mazda's 3-row crossover, right? Very important. I don't know if I literally do not think I'm going to be able to find a single Mazda. Well, I will look for you guys to let you know if I can find a Mazda 3. Okay, well, I know this is not a Mazda 3, but it's the new CX-90, which is Mazda's new, like, luxury 3-row crossover is what I would call it. Okay, I've got some great news for you guys. I finally, actually, those are Mazda 3s too, but those are pre-owned. I finally found, I think, a new Mazda 3. There we go. There's a brand new Mazda 3. Apparently those are super rare right now. It's because they're awesome cars, and we'll get into that in just a moment. So let's dive into the sales numbers now. In the last video, I talked about Mazda's sales figures and how things declined a little bit in 2022. We'll quickly go over a couple of those. So in 2021, Mazda sold over 300,000 cars. They did 2.19% market share. In 2022, they sold under 300,000 cars. That's where they had the decline, and had a 2.16% market share. But in 2023 so far, obviously we are just through the first quarter of the year, they've sold over 90,000 cars, and they have a market share of 2.51%. And this is where I'm wrong, because in the video I said, oh yeah, I think people are pulling back from Mazda a little bit for a number of reasons. And, well, obviously that is the exact opposite of what's happening, because, again, quarter one of 2023, Mazda has had a year-over-year increase by a pretty large margin. And I mean, they are pacing to sell well over 300,000 cars this year. And so now, in today's video, we're going to be explaining why Mazda is having such a big come up and where I see Mazda going in the future with everything that is currently happening. So the first reason as to why Mazda is so successful right now is actually because of their lineup. So in the other video, I said their lineup's kind of confusing because, like, you have the CX-50 and the CX-5, which are very similar to each other. And so it's like it seems like they're making two SUVs in the same segment. And then you have the CX-9 and the CX-90. Again, similar situation. It's like, wait, they're making two SUVs in, like, the same segment. And then you've got the Mazda 3 and the CX-30, which those at least are different enough, right? Because that's like Subaru Impreza, Subaru Crosstrek, right? Because you've got the one that's a sedan, and then you have the one that's like, you know, a CUV is what a lot of people call it. However, now that everything's changed in the economy, Mazda's lineup is surprisingly genius. And when I say surprisingly genius, I mean unsurprisingly genius, because it looks like Mazda has perfectly planned for this. So here's the deal. With the Mazda 3, that is a great affordable car, and guess what everyone's looking for right now? affordable cars. And so the Mazda 3, I mean, you saw at the dealership, they have like one brand new one, and I'm sure that one will sell very quickly. Now the CX-30, that one is an affordable CUV, which those still haven't become super popular right now, but I imagine as the economy continues to worsen, those will become more popular for people that don't want a car but want something that's more affordable, but those are still selling really well. And then with the CX-5 and the CX-50, Mazda has single-handedly been able to attack two markets that are becoming more popular right now. The first one is, again, more affordable cars. In the CX-5, you can have it in many affordable guises. And then with the CX-50, there's a lot of people that want a more luxury type experience, but they don't want to pay a luxury car price because, again, the economy's not in a great place. The CX-50 provides that. And then same thing with the CX-9 and the CX-90. Again, the CX-9 is like the value player, and then the CX-90 is the new, like, fully, you know, loaded luxury car. I mean, the one that I just did a comparison with today had a sticker price of about $60,000, which is a lot of money, but it has a turbocharged inline-6, tons of power, super nice interior, tons of features. And so again, it's pulling buyers that would normally purchase a luxury car, but are now purchasing the Mazda because it's just as nice as luxury cars and it's more affordable, which again, in our current economy, is what everyone is going for. And I really want to emphasize this point because it seems like Mazda basically made the best out of the situation as they could, because, you know, 2022 was a hard year for every single automaker when it comes to production, and I think that's a big part of the reason why Mazda didn't sell as many cars as they would have liked, is because they just simply could not produce enough. But on top of that, buying habits changed a massive amount in 2021 and 2022. People are buying everything, they're paying over MSRP, and people were just like trying to, it seemed like they were trying to buy the most expensive vehicle as they could, like the most expensive vehicle possible, and they didn't really care about value that much. And so, you know, Mazda, you know, basically building their business around providing value, right? I don't think they benefited as much as some of the other automakers did during that time. But now that, like I said, the market's switched and people care way more about value more than anything else, it's like Mazda's like fully set up to do that. However, value is not enough to explain why Mazda's comeback is so like aggressive. It seriously is crazy, the amount of market share that they are consuming and the volume that they're selling things at. The next part of it is actually, in my opinion, the dealership experience. Mazda's dealership experience compared to, you know, automakers that they traditionally compete against, it seems like they've started to kind of like tailor it more towards a luxury customer experience. And so that, I think, is also bringing a lot more people in the brand, because like when you go into a Mazda dealership, especially with how they've redesigned the stores, it feels more like a luxury car store. And then how like the sales experience is, again, it's more like a luxury car store. And so I think that is also adding to Mazda's success, is it's like a buying experience that feels less, again, salesy, like what you might experience with some of the competitors with Mazda, and again, more on the luxury side. And I think a lot of people, like more and more people want that when they purchase a car, especially with how expensive modern cars are. Now, the next big thing is reliability. And like, this is a huge thing with Mazda. Their modern cars are extremely reliable. I mean, you look at the reliability rankings, and Mazda's always like up there at the top with the big boys like Toyota and Lexus, which again, we happen to be in a Lexus today, and we'll actually be talking about Lexus a little bit later in the video. But yeah, Mazdas are super reliable. Like, you know, this is anecdotal, but I've talked to, you know, mechanics that have worked for a bunch of different brands, and the mechanics that work for Mazda tell me that their job is so boring because they don't really get to be mechanics all that much. Most of what they do is just regular servicing. Like, you buy a modern Mazda, and what you're going to do on a yearly basis is tire rotations and oil changes. You might have like the occasional car that has more issues than that, but that's pretty much what happens. And so it's like the reliability is super, super big, and more people are realizing this, and so I think this is bringing more and more people into the brand. I mean, again, this is anecdotal, but there's a person that I happen to know that used to work in a Toyota service department, and they told me that they were having an engine replaced in a vehicle like almost every single day. They now work in a Mazda service department, and they've told me that like over the last 8 months, they've maybe done like a few engines. And so, like, again, completely anecdotal, I understand, but the point that I'm trying to make here is like the modern Mazdas are so reliable, and so the more that people realize this, the more that they're going to buy from the brand, and frankly, it's already happening. This leads me into summing things up for today's video, where I am going to talk about how I was obviously stupid in the prior video, because again, I would like the premise of that video was completely wrong. The numbers don't lie, and I'm a numbers person. So here's the deal: Mazda's crushing it. They've sold over 90,000 cars so far this year, and they are well on their way to sell over 300,000 cars. cars. And the reason why Mazda is gaining market share and becoming more and more popular is people are realizing what Mazda actually offers. And the thing that I want to mention is, I think that if Mazda had a more expansive lineup, like if they offered vehicles in more segments, I think they'd sell even more cars, because again, people are sick and tired of buying these brand new expensive vehicles that just don't have like the best quality, right? That they're breaking down within a few hundred miles. And it's like, yeah, it's covered under warranty, but like that doesn't give you a whole lot of assurance with owning that vehicle outside of the warranty. Whereas Mazda, again, they focused on quality. Like the vehicles look really good on the outside, the interior looks amazing, the quality of materials, the fit and finish, it's fantastic. Reliability is also fantastic as well. And so like Mazda's just focused on a lot of stuff to really elevate their brand, and it's paying off. They're selling more cars and they're stealing market share from their competitors. And so I feel like Mazda is what, and Toyota still does represent this in my opinion, but I feel like Mazda is kind of like an elevated Toyota. They're kind of like Lexus in a sense, and that's why I said it's kind of fitting that I'm in a Lexus in today's video, but I really do mean that. It's like Mazda offers these premium vehicles that are super reliable, they drive amazingly well, and they're also like, they're affordable. And so it's like Mazda's technically competing against Toyota, but I feel like they're now kind of competing more against Lexus at this point, at least with what they're doing with their vehicles. I mean, look at the new CX-90. That powertrain is like more powerful than the powertrain in a lot of cars that you could purchase from Lexus. So let me know what you guys think about Mazda's come up, and if you're a Mazda fan and you want to roast me in the comment section below because I was wrong in the first video, feel free to do that. YouTube's an open forum. That's exactly what YouTube is for. But I'm excited to see what Mazda does in the future. And Mazda, if you happen to be watching this video, which you, again, I don't think you guys saw the first one, but if you happen to see this one, the people demand a new Mazda 6 with the inline 6 rear-wheel drive platform, and then put the inline 6 in a Mazda Miata. I know it might not make any sense, but like, it'd be really cool. It'd be really cool. But let me know what you guys think about this whole Mazda situation, and good job to Mazda.